Hello and welcome everybody. Welcome back to class. Again, I'm sorry for the last couple minutes. We had some technical difficulties again, but we are up and running and going with class today. So welcome everyone who's here. Let's check and see who is in class today. Looks like Luciana is back. Welcome, Luciana. Mohammed, welcome, Mohammed. Thank you for joining me today again. If you're in class today, if this is your first time, this is a live stream class for English for the Health Sciences. So I do this class at this time on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. If you would like to sign up for the subscription portion of the class, meaning that you come to class and then you and I interact over email afterwards, or I'll assign homework and quizzes, then you can go to smartenglish.com. Let me show you how to do it right now. There we go. So if you're wondering about how to sign up, if you're new, you go to smartenglish.com. Here you see information about the Smrt curriculum. Got a lot of good information, shows you some examples of some of our classes, shows you what it looks like when you're logged into the class, shows you can do it on any kind of device. There's just a lot of different features, and you can browse through and look at some of our curriculum if you're interested. Anyways, if you go to live, it does a short explanation of what these live classes are. So this is just a very fast overview, but you can see these are live English classes streamed on YouTube with either Canadian or an American teacher. I am from the United States of America in Spokane, Washington, like some of you know. During the class, we'll be able to interact with each other through the chat function. So if you have any questions during the class, or when we do some of the activities, you can use the chat function and we'll be able to interact a little bit through that. We've got people from all over the world in the class together. If you're curious about what your level is, what kind of class to sign up for, you can use the level assessment test here. You can look at an introduction to what the invite-only classes look like, and then we've got information here about pricing, about what it includes. So last week was the first week of our 12-week class, so you'll see it says 12 weeks long here. Last week was our first week of that. This week is our first week, so there'll be 11 weeks after this. You can see some of the other classes here taught by some of our friends, and there's me at the bottom. Kind of similar, right? Anyways, so you can click here, join the class, and you can also join open classes here with these, with Sean and Mark. They're excellent teachers, and it's more like you can practice English, learn a little bit about grammar. It's not a formal class to take. So that's what we're doing this week for this class. If you want to sign up, feel free to visit this page, smartenglish.com/live. I'll type it into the chat so you can see. Here's what I'm going to do. Just for your convenience. There you go. So you can check it out. And yeah, if you speak Spanish, like I see Aldo just commented, that's okay. That's great. You can use this as a chance to listen to English, to practice with some of the questions. It should be very helpful for you. So for those of you who are registered for my live class, please, in order for me to check that you are in class today, please let me know in the comments. So just type your name, hello, I'm here, or nice to see you, anything like that, and I will mark you present for the class. Otherwise, I might have to mark you absent. So if those of you who remember from last week, from Tuesday. A lot of classes. Where's ours? I missed it. There it is. Click on our class. All right, so we were looking at this article. We did a reading together, and then we did an exercise. Another thing, this class uses Google Documents. So in order to fully utilize the Smrt curriculum, once you sign up, you will have access to all of these exercises and everything, just like we saw, all these lessons, and Google Documents. And on Google Docs, using your Gmail account, you will be able to do some of the homework. So for those of you who are registered for the class, this was our homework assignment. We did have some of you turn it in. Thank you to those who turned it in. If you did not, you're still welcome to do it, but you won't get credit for it at this point. So, the assignment was to find new vocabulary words from the reading and then write the definition of them, and then to do the reading and answer these comprehension questions, and then look on a different website to do additional research to answer some of these questions. So if you are registered for the class and you've not shared your homework with me, please do. If you're not registered for the class, you don't have to worry about this. And we won't go over all of these questions probably right now, because that is part of the class that you register for. You'll be able to get some feedback. So, and also, it looks like nobody who turned in the homework is in class today. So if you are, please let me know, and I'd be happy to go through the homework with you. So today's lesson is similar to this. So last class, I had asked, what do we want to learn in this class? And people had mentioned vocabulary and reading. Help to improve vocabulary and reading to be able to use it in the medical field. So we will focus primarily on vocabulary and reading assignments. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff to do here. We have plenty to go over, so no problem there. But for this week, we're starting with Unit 1. And Unit 1, for those of you who were in my first class a couple weeks ago, we went over some of these vocabulary words. We'll relook at some of those today. Also, those vocabulary words appear in these reading exercises. So, just so you're aware, when you're doing the reading and when you're doing these exercises and marking down vocabulary words, that's going to be very useful for you, because it's going to help you to improve your vocabulary. For those of you here in the class, I'll explain a little bit more about what the homework will be, and there'll be a quiz next week also that will relate to vocabulary and reading. So I'll explain that, but until then, we'll work through another assignment together. So last week we did reading 1-2. Yesterday, so Tuesday, we did reading 1-2, and today we're doing reading 1-1. Health in the news, containing a virus. So, a virus, this is one of our vocabulary words. That is something that, it's like a type of sickness that comes into your body and makes you very sick. It like goes into your body's cells and kind of takes them over and destroys them. So they can be very kind of light and just uncomfortable, but still not that nice, or they can be really bad, like you can die. So the reading for today is going to be about viruses. So what we will do is look at the reading, the article together. I will read through it and help you to see some strategies for reading in English, Then I'll pause, give you a couple minutes to let you read, and then we'll come back and we'll do the next section and we'll go through it like that. If anyone has questions at any point during this, please feel free to type in the chat, and we can and I'll be able to answer those questions for you. So our introduction: viruses have caused illnesses throughout history in all places in the world. Today's reading is concerning how the World Health Organization, or WHO, is trying to prevent the spread of MERS virus in Saudi Arabia. And then we click here, and this takes us to the article. So the title is WHO Mission to Saudi Arabia to Target MERS Coronavirus. Scroll down. So when we're looking at paragraphs and articles in English, we can look at the first sentence as a clue to what the rest of the paragraph will be about. Paragraph is going to be a section of words, kind of like this one here. So when we're reading a news article, it's different sometimes because they might have a paragraph that's only 1 or 2 sentences, and that's okay. It just means that that whole idea, they just want to make it very clear, very easy to understand. So I will read, let's see, we've got a couple pages worth here. So I will read this first section, and then I will give you maybe like 3 minutes to read it on your own. So let's make it just a little bit bigger here. There we go. So to start, Geneva, that's the place where the author, we assume, is from, the author of this article, or where they're writing from. A World Health Organization mission is going to Saudi Arabia in the coming week, at the request of the government, to take preventative measures against an anticipated spring season upsurge of Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, also known as MERS coronavirus. So, earlier we saw MERS, thought maybe what's that? What does that mean? What does it stand for? It means Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So Middle East is the part of the world where Saudi Arabia is located. It's between Asia and Europe, a little bit northeast of Africa. Respiratory refers to your breathing. Respiratory. And syndrome is something that's affecting you. So MERS coronavirus. Saudi Arabia is entering the 3rd year of battling MERS coronavirus. WHO researchers have reported at least 975 cases, including 358 deaths, a 35% fatality rate from the disease since 2012. Since the last large MERS corona outbreak in May and June of last year, the WHO says there have been smaller surges in Saudi Arabia due to hospital outbreaks. It also says that new cases of the disease are now being reported on an almost daily basis. Cases of MERS coronavirus are also occurring in Oman and the United Arab Emirates, but to a lesser extent. So this virus is a big deal for this area. People are getting very sick. A lot of people are getting sick. Almost 1,000 people, 975 people, have been reported with it during this period of time, which I believe is just over a year ago, and 358 people died from it. And that means that about 35 people who get it die, which is bad. That's really scary. So the World Health Organization is trying to go and learn about this disease and figure out how to take preventative measures, like we see in this first part here, meaning that seeing how to keep this from getting worse. So we'll go down. WHO Manager of International Food Safety, Peter Ben Embark, says people mainly get the virus through contact with camels, or through close contact with people who have the disease in hospitals and households. Camels are a very popular animal in the area, so it makes sense that a lot of people could get sick from it. But he tells VOA, that's the name of this news source, VOA News, the disease remains shrouded in mystery, and that little is known about what causes the disease in camels or why it is centered in this region. So that's the first bit of reading. If anyone has any questions on it, you can feel free to type it into the chat. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes right now to take a look at the reading, to look through it. Something I always suggest is keeping a list of vocabulary words, either on whatever is going to work best for you. We like to suggest Google Documents, or if you have any other kind of digital note-taking program that you enjoy using, you're welcome to use that. And keep track of the vocabulary words, new words that you see that you don't know. And if you can look them up online, you can type them into the chat and ask me, or we can work together to figure it out. It's also good to practice using context to learn the words. So maybe if you keep reading, you'll be able to understand what the word means by the other words around it. So I'll give you a couple minutes. Looks like we have a question from Luciana first, about the word shroud. And that came from the section shrouded in mystery down here. So shroud means something is covered up. It comes from a word that is a noun. We don't say it very much in English anymore, but it's like a cloth or something you're kind of pulling over yourself to cover yourself. And the way we usually use it is shrouded in mystery or shrouded in secrecy, and it means that the thing you're talking about is covered over. So this disease is covered in mystery. It's like mystery is kind of pulled up and over. So that's what shrouded means. So we'll give you another couple minutes here to do the reading, and I will be back in just a second. All right, hello everybody. I'll be back here on camera in just a second. And hello, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's see, looks like I hope everyone enjoyed the reading. So if you have any questions, please type that into the chat. I see that we do have some questions here. Asking, what does hospital outbreaks mean? That means, so an outbreak is when something, it's just like it sounds like the word break out. It's like something, imagine there's something that's contained, and then all of a sudden it's like, and it comes out everywhere. Like, maybe, it's like all of a sudden all over the place. So an outbreak of something, in this case means the virus all of a sudden is like within the hospital, is just like all over the place. Like suddenly everyone's getting it. So yeah, Luciana, you're correct. The virus, it is spreading in hospitals. We don't know if it started in hospitals. It looks like probably not, but it is very common that it spreads in hospitals. So we'll see. So that's what it means by hospital outbreaks. If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to answer them on here, or to ask them on the chat, and I will answer them on here for you. So let's continue here. So this is a quote from this guy, Peter Ben Mbarak. He's the manager of International Food Safety for the World Health Organization. And he tells us this. It is true that there are camels elsewhere, so it might be a combination of a mix of climatic conditions, traditions, and ways of interacting with camels that might be different in other parts of the world. He said, perhaps also better healthcare systems that are better prepared and better capable of detecting cases. The symptoms are not very specific initially and could be easily missed or mistaken for something else. That's scary because they don't really know exactly why it's spreading or where it comes from. They think probably camels. And the symptoms are not like very unique in the beginning. When someone first gets sick with it, like maybe you could have a different kind of sickness or multiple different kinds of sickness, and so because of that, they might think, oh, this person's not very sick, or this person just has a cold or some other thing that's not serious, and then they suddenly get very sick and could die. So we'll continue. The WHO recently reported a case of MERS in the Philippines, where a 32-year-old nurse tested positive Wednesday. The nurse had returned from Saudi Arabia on February 1st. Mbarak says all of the nurses' contacts in the Philippines are being followed, and that 11 people who were showing signs of respiratory symptoms have been tested. Though all tested negative, they will be retested. So they want to be really sure. Like, is anyone getting sick? Why are people sick? He says camels do not show severe symptoms, although they sometimes manifest mild respiratory symptoms. He says camels excrete the virus through their respiratory tracts, which is transmitted and circulated. So camels get sick, people are around the camels, and that's probably how they get the virus. When he says excrete the virus through respiratory tracts, that means that out of their mouth and nose, maybe through breathing, or the camels spit, or it gets kind of like a cold or something, and then people end up in contact with that, and then they get sick from it. The word excrete is a very good vocabulary word, and that means when a liquid is coming out of something. But it's a word that we use usually for medical or scientific or technical things. If you use it for normal things for people, it sounds kind of weird and kind of gross, but used in a medical sense or scientific sense, it's normal. All right, we'll say this, read this last bit here. and then I'll pause for another moment just to see if anyone has questions. He says surveillance systems should be increased, especially in parts of the world with large camel populations. So we should watch the camels. So I'll give you another, maybe just 1 minute this time. This one's a little bit shorter, and then we'll come back. I'll be watching for questions on the chat. That's why I'm looking over here. You see me looking down. And I will answer any questions that you might have. So we'll be back in just a minute. All right, hello, welcome back. Get started back up here. Turn the video on. Hello, hello. All right, I hope you had a nice time reading this section. I have a question from Ilias. What does excrete mean? So excrete, like I just described, means, it's this word right here, and it means when a liquid is coming out of something else. So again, it's like a medical term that we use when usually some scientific or medical or biological thing is happening. In this case, there's some kind of like saliva or phlegm or something from the nose that's coming from the camel, coming out, maybe when they're breathing or spitting or they get sick, and I don't know if they cough or something. And then it comes out and then people get infected with it. So you could also say like if someone is sweating, like your body is excreting sweat, those would be the kind of situations we'd use it in. The noun form would be excretion. The camel's excretion carries the virus. So, and again, it's a word usually used just in medical situations. Let's see, we have another question from Luciana. What does Embarek, that's the author, mean by surveillance system? So surveillance system, that means like cameras that are watching something. So surveillance means to look at and see and like take note of what's happening. And a surveillance system is something that helps to facilitate that. So usually that means watching with cameras, like at a bank or a business or some place that has a security surveillance system. They usually will have cameras positioned and they'll watch what's going on. And so it sounds like he wants to do that with the camels just to really be able to observe and track what they're doing. And he may even describe it in this next part here. So we will continue and see if he explains surveillance system. But yeah, it means some way to watch them closely. So the author, just like we're talking about, he says surveillance systems should be increased, especially in parts of the world with large camel populations. So We need to watch the camels so we can make sure to take control of this virus. He says, in terms of human cases, again, we are seeing the whole spectrum, a little bit like with the common flu. Some people who are having underlying conditions, suffering from a weak immune system due to diabetes or heart disease and so on, would typically see a much more severe course of the disease. If you are a healthy young adult, for example, and working on a farm or taking care of camels, you probably only show mild symptoms. A little bit of fever maybe, but nothing alarming. The WHO advises people suffering from underlying conditions to avoid close contact with camels and abstain from drinking raw camel milk. They also say people should exercise caution when visiting markets and apply good hygiene and avoid unnecessary visits to health centers in places where the virus is suspected of circulating. So this gives us a little more information about the virus. It says, we've got really good vocabulary words in here too. Spectrum, that means a lot of things. It comes from words we use when we're talking about like a rainbow, the color spectrum. You see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. That's a spectrum of colors. So for this we have a spectrum of people's experiences with the disease, kind of like the common flu. So he says people who have underlying conditions, that means they have some kind of sickness that is maybe like a weak immune system or diabetes or heart disease, like he's saying. They get a very severe course of the disease. And if you are healthy, you will show mild symptoms. So we have different kinds of symptoms in the spectrum of people's experience. And yeah, really good analysis, Luciana. The word mild would be the opposite of severe. So we have a comparison here where he says we would typically or usually see a much more severe course of the disease. But if you are a healthy young adult, you probably only show mild symptoms. So it means we can also use mild for like food. If food is spicy, it's like really hot, like has a lot of chili peppers or something in it, we say it's spicy or hot. If it doesn't, or maybe it doesn't have very much flavor, we'd say it's mild. So yeah, mild is opposite of severe. He gives a couple more suggestions about how to avoid the disease, avoiding close contact with camels and not having the raw camel milk. And additionally, staying away from places that might have the disease, or being very careful to be careful and to be cautious and wash your hands and stuff if you do go somewhere that might have it, like a market or a hospital or a health center where it's spreading. There are outbreaks. So I'll give you another just short couple minutes to look at this reading passage, and then we'll move on. All right, hello. And hello, everybody. All right, so we'll check out the chat. Looks like we don't have any questions right now. If you do have any questions, please feel free to still type them into the chat. If you have any more thoughts, and remember to keep your list of vocabulary words that you're learning. So right now, let's see how much time we have. We have about 18 minutes left, so let's go and move on to the exercise for this, for the reading. So I'll explain the exercise and then I'll give you guys a few minutes to work on it, because for those of you who are subscribers to the class, you have a little bit more homework this weekend, so this will give you a chance to start on it before the weekend. So the homework starts, again, it's the same kind of exercise, the last one, where you will write vocabulary words that you see, new ones that you find in the definition of them, so you can fill this list. And then we have some reading comprehension questions. So we will go over some of the reading comprehension right now. It looks like before that, though, we have a question from Ilias. He asks us, what does apply good hygiene practice mean? Let's open that back up here. Make sure to apply good hygiene practices. So hygiene refers to washing your hands, brushing your teeth, bathing, making sure you're healthy and clean. So he's saying, or the author is saying here, that if you go to some place that might have this virus present, like a market, maybe that has camels, or a health center or a hospital where there's an outbreak of the virus, that you should apply good hygiene practices. That means apply is like to use or to put on something, and then good hygiene would be making sure to wash your hands, making sure to stay clean and healthy. So you should practice, like things you do, make sure to do like washing your hands, to make sure to not touch anything that could infect you with the virus. Looks like we have another question here. Let's see. From Luciana. A comment. Is it similar to Ebola? I don't know. What I do know about Ebola is that it's a very, very severe disease as well. And this disease is also severe, but I think Ebola comes on a little bit more fast and is transmitted a little bit differently, not through camels. But the connection would be that they are both sicknesses that have outbreaks in certain areas, and people get very sick, and a lot of people die from them. So, but yeah, good analysis. That they're a very similar topic, and they're both very serious. So, all right. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. If not, we will move on. So, I wonder if I can do this side by side. So let's see, we'll do a couple of these reading comprehension questions. First question, what is MERS? If you'll remember, if we look back in the reading, it explains what MERS is. So our first question, I'll go back here real quick. What is MERS? So you can answer in a complete sentence. So let's use a different example. Last class we talked about HIV. So we did the reading and we read about HIV, and we saw that it was a disease that causes the body to attack itself. So to answer this question, you could say, the question is what is HIV, you could say HIV stands for human immune. I don't remember. You could say the acronym for it. Or you could say it is a virus that causes these things. So I'll give you just a couple minutes to answer. I'll make sure that this is open. You can type your answer into the chat here. And make sure to use complete sentences, like MERS is a virus that does these things. So I'll give you just about 1 minute to do that. And I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Didn't take too much time for that question because we talked about it already. So, MERS, what is MERS? MERS stands for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So, and more in depth, what the disease is, is a disease that spreads very fast, has outbreaks in hospitals, and that people can contract from camels. Contract means that they get it from them. So good job, Luciana, nice answer. Let's go on to another question here. So the next question, what countries other than Saudi Arabia have seen outbreaks of MERS? So we'll put the question into the chat, and let's see, we'll find the section that explains where people have got the disease. It's somewhere in this reading. I'll give you a clue. There are 3 other countries that it mentions, so we'll give you just a minute to work on this question. Reading comprehension question, what countries other than Saudi Arabia have seen outbreaks of MERS? Alright, welcome back. Looks like we have some good answers. Hello? Oh, are we back? Hello, hello? Oh no, it looks like our camera might not be working right now. Let me see, maybe one of the connections is off. Alright, well, I'm still here. Looks like our camera has stopped working. But maybe it'll come back on in a second, or I'll check it out, see if I can figure it out in just a moment. So we have some great answers here. Let's see, Ilyas says the other countries that seen outbreaks, the outbreaks are Oman, United Arab Emirates. Almost, there's one more. And we would need have in front of seen. You'll hear people use seen without have, just like if it's a past participle verb. Like I seen the car drive by, but that's not correct grammar. If you hear that, just forget that it's correct. Make sure to say I have seen or I've seen. So I'm glad you can hear me, Luciana. I'm sorry you can't see me. I don't know why the video stopped. Hopefully it'll be back on. But all right, so Luciana writes, Oman, United Arab Emirates, and the Philippines have seen outbreaks of MERS. Awesome. Correct. And Mohammed says Oman, United Arab Emirates. Yes. But we see here, let's see, look at the two places. Cases of the MERS coronavirus are also occurring in Oman and the United Arab Emirates. And then down here, we hear about a reported case of MERS in the Philippines. So we have three countries. At this point, I'm sorry you can't see me. Let me check one thing and maybe we will be back on in a second. Let's see. Nope. All right. Looks like we will do the rest without video. I'm so sorry, everybody. So, for the rest of you, or for the rest of class, what I'll do is explain the rest of the homework for the weekend for those of you who are subscribers to the class, and then talk about a little bit what we'll do next week. So, continuing with our focus on reading and vocabulary, I'm going to assign the reading 1-1 exercise, which is this one we are looking at. To those of you in the class, I'll make sure to share the document with you again. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email me for those who are in the class. So do all three sections of the reading 1-1 exercise and make sure to have those done before Tuesday. So finish it, send it to me sometime on Monday. Anytime on Monday that I get it is good. Anytime on Tuesday, it will be late. In addition to that, I would like you to study the vocabulary list. So when you are in the Smrt curriculum, on the class, the first unit, go to vocabulary 1-1. You'll see all of these words here. A couple weeks ago, some of you might have been with me when we talked about some of these vocabulary words. You see there's a lot of them. You'll see some of them on here again, so we went through them. Also, these words appear in the reading. So if you are looking carefully at the reading and learning the words in the reading and making lists of new words for you, you will do probably a great job knowing these vocabulary words. You may already know a lot of them just from doing the reading. So homework is do reading exercise 1-1, which looks like this, what we're working on today, and then study the vocabulary list because on Tuesday, we will have a vocabulary quiz for those of you who are in the class. It will only be 10 questions long, so you don't have to get too worried or too stressed out about it, but we will have a vocabulary quiz. So for those of you who are in the class, I will email you that information and make sure you have it online. For those of you not in the class, you don't have to do it. You're welcome to continue reading on your own, though. We're practicing vocabulary words that we learned here. You can ask me words through the chat for the next couple minutes of class about this reading. And then if you're interested, again, in registering for the class, I'll show you one more time. So you go to smartenglish.com/live. And this is something, if you scroll back to the beginning of the chat from this class, something that I gave everyone the link. So you can come to this page, click on live right here, and then you'll see information about the Smrt Live class, information about what we're offering and how to sign up, and what comes with the subscription service, and then some of the class we're offering. So you can see Nicole's class. She's one of our teachers here from Spokane, Washington, teaching pre-intermediate English, English 120 adults. This is an intermediate class taught by Mark. He's in Canada, Vancouver, BC. One of our great teachers. Upper intermediate English with Mr. Neil, also in Spokane. English for academic purposes, English 140 for adults. This is Josh. He's our director here in Spokane, and a good friend of ours. And then you see my class here, English for the health sciences. So you can read if you've taken this class and you thought, oh, this is great, but like I really want to practice my academic English because I'm starting a college program in English or something, then you can go check out Josh's class and see when it streams and join the class if you like. Or if you like this one, continue this one. Whatever you think would be best for you, you're welcome to join our classes. So, looks like we are about done with class today. Thank you so much to everyone who joined me. Again, I'm sorry that we had some trouble with the camera, both the beginning and at the end of this class. So I will hope to have that fixed by Tuesday. So for those of you in the class, I will email you, like I said, the homework. For everyone else, thank you for joining us. Luciana, Mohammed, Ilyas. It was really great to have you in class today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. So have a nice weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and your Friday, and we will see you on Tuesday. Same time and same place.